Hello all the developers out there or the to-be developers out there. This is Keval Kanathra here and welcome back to yet another video on my channel. So today in this video again we are going to work with Python. So what are we going to do in this video? As you might have already seen, we are going to make our machines speak, and how we will convert text to speech using some third-party modules in Python. So sounds interesting, right? So if you might be thinking why these days I am just creating some projects or videos on Python. So let's go back with the journey, with my journey when I started into this computer science field. So when I started, so the first programming language that I learned was C++. Okay, so C++ was the first programming language that I started with my career in, and after that I went to C, then I probably went to HTML, and then I went to Java. So when I went to Java, when I started working on Java, Java became my first love in programming. And guys, if you have not got your hands dirty on Java, then I will recommend you. Java is something worth learning. Not only because I love it, because Java is something that will teach you to become a better programmer, and that is what I believe. So talking about Java, Java was my first love and is my first love, and it is going to stay like that. Okay, so I worked on Java for almost a year and a half or more, and I nailed Java. So after working on Java and then making some projects in Java, what I decided was to start the YouTube channel. So when I decided to start a YouTube channel, so what was in my mind was to start with Python, because these days Python is doing wonders in the market, right? And it is not like that I haven't worked on Python before. Okay, after when I was working on Java, simultaneously I was working on Python as well, but Java was something that I went deep into. So I had knowledge of Python and a good knowledge of Python, but I thought before starting a series on Python, first let's master Python and then let's start with the series. So before starting the shoot for the Python series, or before starting with the Python series, I worked on Python for a month or two, and in whole 1 month or 2 months I almost work on Python day and night, and I tried to master Python. And during that process I started to develop my love for Python as well. So these days I'm loving to work with Python, to explore new things with Python. As you might have already seen that in the last video we did, I worked on Python and we were able to plot a route on let's say Google map. So the link to that video is below in the description if you haven't checked it out yet, and if you wish to do that project. So while I was working on Python again, I explored this text to speech library, and it sound interesting to me. So I thought, why not make a video on this? So let's start with the Python text to speech. Let's make our machines speak. So let's get started. So what are we going to do? We are going to convert text to speech, and we are going to make our machines speak. So it sounds interesting, right? So to do that, we will take the help of a third-party module, that is Python text to speech module. Okay, so there are a few other libraries available, as you can see on the screen. Okay, these are a few libraries that are available for the same purpose, and I have worked on a few, and few of them I have not worked, but I have just read the documentation. So with that experience, what I think is the library that we are going to work with today, that is Python text to speech library, is one of the simplest and one of the best library for this purpose. Yes, I might be wrong, but with my experience, I think at a beginner level for you guys, this library will be perfect. So that's why I am choosing this Python text to speech library, that is pyttsx3. This is the third party library that we are going to import, and we are going to start working with. So as we know, we are going to use this third party module. So first we need to install that module. And how do we install that? So let's go back to our command line, and let's write that legendary command, that is pip install, and then the name of the module. So this is the name of the module, and let's hit enter. So it will start the installation process, since I have already installed it in my machine. So it will throw us an error, that is requirement already satisfied. But in your system, it will start the download procedure and it will be installed into your system. So once you are done with that, so then let's start with coding. Okay, wait, before starting with coding, there is a first thing. Whenever you want to make some projects, or whenever you want to work with some new libraries, the first thing that is really important is to read the documentation. So let's do that first. Okay, so let's go to the documentation of this library. So as you can see on the screen, this is the documentation of the pyttsx3 library, and as you can see, this is the documentation, and the first step we are done with this. So now you might be thinking, as I discussed, there are few other libraries. Then what is the reason for me choosing this library? So the reason that I choose this library is, first, it is really easy for the beginners. Second, as you can see on the screen, is it works on both versions of Python, that is Python 2 and Python 3. So that is one of the really good thing. And the next thing that is really important, it works without the internet connection. So if you don't have an internet connection in your system or in your project, still it is going to work. So it doesn't need the internet connection to function. So this is the reason why I'm choosing this library. So now let's get started. So these are the few methods. In the usage section, it shows some few methods that will help us to achieve the task. So I would recommend you to read this entire documentation. Once you are gone through the entire documentation, then this coming 10 minutes of this tutorial will be real easy for you guys, because documentation is something that will really make you good programmers. And if you know how to read a documentation, you can learn anything in the world. So this is about this documentation. So I would recommend you to just read it once, and if not, this tutorial is for you guys. So you can surely enjoy the tutorial, and I hope I will be able to explain you it in the simpler way. So this, and if you want to dive deep into this tutorial, so what you can do is you can go onto this link. Once you go into this link, it will come to this page. Okay, so this is a very detailed documentation with all the methods and what all these methods do. So there is something called as engine factory. We will see that what it is and how it works. Okay, so this is something called as engine factory. And one thing that is important, okay, so let's discuss it now. What is this engine factory? So this is the engines that will help us to convert text to speech, and we have various engines. So for the Windows, we have this one. Okay, so this works absolutely fine on Windows. This one is for just Mac OS, and this works fine on every platform. So the engine that we will be using there, or that it is used by this module by default, is this one. So this is a driver that we will be using. So first we need to initialize it. So we will see that how all these things work, and then we will use all the methods that are there in it. So there are few methods given on this with detailed explanation of their parameters, their purpose, and all these things. So we are going to do that. As you can see on the screen, this get property method, it is a really important method that we will explore and we will do. Again, some methods that we will use is this run and wait method. Then we have this say method, the set property method. This whole thing we are going to utilize in our program. And also when we are done with our program, then we will be also able to modify or manipulate with the voice that will be coming as a text to speech. The output voice, we will be able to change that. So for that we have the voice metadata. So once we are done with the whole tutorial, once you have actually developed an application that will convert text to speech, then you can surely manipulate this and explore this voice metadata. And these are some example codes that if you wish, you can go once, and if you read this both the pages that I showed you right now, then you will be ready with the PyTTSX3, and this video will be super easy for you. And if not, don't worry, we will do that in coming 10 minutes, and I hope you will be able to understand that with a really easy purpose. So let's get started. Let's get started with the code. And so what we need to do, so first thing, whenever we do install a third-party module and we want to use it in our project, so first thing what we need to do is we need to import it, right? So import PyTTSX3. Okay, again in this video I am using Visual Studio Code. I have already created a folder that is text to speech, and in that I have a file text to speech.py. Okay, so you can use any text editor that you want, Visual Studio Code, Sublime Text, or anyone that works fine with you, or you can use an IDE as well. But sometimes these modules are difficult to install in IDE and all this procedure. That's why I prefer to use text editors for this purpose. So once we are done with the installation process, the first thing that we need to do is we need to initialize the engine. We need to initialize the driver that we are going to use. So how do we do that? So first let's define an object that is engine, and what we will do is, and we have an init method in this that will help us to achieve this purpose. So this is initialize. So this will initialize the engine or the driver that we want to use for the purpose of converting text to speech. Now we have already, so with this we have created this object engine, and we will utilize this engine object in our whole project to achieve that task. So now what we will do is really simple. So here we will have engine, and in this we have a say method, and whatever we write in this say method, that will be that text will be converted to speech. So let me write as that is hello, this is okay, this is Python. Okay, and the next thing is we just need to execute it. So how it is done, that is engine dot run and wait. So this is the method that will do that. So before that, first let me increase my volume so you guys can hear it. So we are ready with our first code that will help us to convert the text to speech. So let's run it. So let's click on this run button.
Hello, this is Python.
Okay, so I hope you guys heard that the text was converted to speech. So this is how it is done. So right now it was a male voice. In the future, in the later, we will convert that to a female voice as well. So let's run it once more. It is interesting. Whenever I work with
Hello,
this,
this
I
is
love
Python.
this. Hello, this is Python. Once more.
Hello, this is Python.
So this is how we convert text to speech. So this was a very introductory part of this module, or how it is done. So let's kill the terminal for now. And what we will do is we will manipulate the whole thing, and then we will start manipulate the whole thing, and then we will do then we will convert the text into speech. So now, as you have seen that already, that how it works, how the text is converted to speech. You might have heard the voice, you might have heard the volume at it what was done and all these things. So now first you will set the properties, various properties such as the voice, the volume, the rate, the speed at which the person that the machine is speaking. So all these properties, first we will customize these properties, and then we will convert the text to speech. And one more important thing is that we will take the input from the user, and that we will convert that input into speech. So let's get started without any further delays. So the first thing that we need to do is first we will manipulate the rate. What is the rate, or what I mean by the rate is the speed at which the machine will speak. So let's manipulate that. So for that, let's define a variable. So we have your rate, and again we will work with this engine. Okay, I removed that engine part. Okay, so I need to initialize it again. So what is happening today? Okay, so we have engine vy sx3 dot init. Okay, so we have the engine object. Now let's go with the rate method. So this is the rate. So now we will use this engine object. Okay, and for that and all these methods, or all these are the stored as the properties of this class. So we will use the getter and setter methods to achieve that. So for this we have this get property method, and the name of the property is rate. So we want, since we want to manipulate the rate, so we will get the rate. So this will fetch us the rate and store it into the rate variable. So let's print the rate. So what is the current rate, so that we will come to know that. So rate, and once we know what is the current rate, so first let's run it. I think it won't give us any output at the moment. Okay, we have, so the default is 200, as we can see. So the default rate is 200. So if we want, we can manipulate that. So how we can do, so we have already got the rate, right? So now we need to set it. So we will use the setter method. So how do we do that? That is engine dot set property. We have this method, and in this it takes two parameters. As we can see, first is the name of the property, and second is the value. So the name of the property is rate, and the second thing is the value. So it was 200, right? So we will make it 250. Okay, so we have manipulated or customized the rate at which we want. The second thing that we need to do is for the volume. So let's just copy this whole thing, okay, just to save our time in this tutorial, and let's just paste it. Okay, and I will just rename the things. So this is volume, and the name of the property is again volume. Name of the property is volume, and let's print volume. Okay, so we are printing the volume. So first let's do that. Let's print the volume, and let's see what is the by default volume that it is. So we are getting here 1. So the volume ranges from 0 to 1, and it is at 1, that is the highest. So let's keep it at 1, and let's keep it as 1 in the moment. But let us assume that it is not 1 and it is lesser than 1. So if we want to make it the highest, that is 1. So how do we do that? So from this we will set it to 1. Right now we know that it is at 1, so there is no meaning of doing this step. But just for the tutorial purpose, let's say the volume, if you want to reduce the volume, if you want to do it 0.8 or something like that, so you can do that. And the last thing that we need to do is set the voice. Okay, so right now we saw that the voice that came was a male voice. So let's say I want to change it to a female voice. So how it is done? So let's see how it is done. So first let's again let me paste this and let me just change this. Okay, voice, and the name of the property is voices. This you need to remember. For voice, we have the name of the property is voices, and let's print the voice. So let's run it and let's see what are we getting as output. Okay, end of the file. Oh, okay, my bad. Okay, so let's run it again. Okay, first let me kill the terminal. Yeah, now let's run it. Okay, so we have got here the voice object, and in this we have got a lot of things. We are not able to understand anything what it is, so just skip it for the moment. We don't need that. So let me explain you how this voice works. So in this, it is a list of the voices that are there. So there are something 5 to 7 voices in it, and each one is can be accessed by the index by the index. So the default one, that the male voice that we saw, is at the index 0, and if you want to change it to a female, so that is at the index 1. So we will work with that. Okay, so what we'll do is we will set the property that is voice. Okay, so this is the property, and what we will do is we will change it to index 1 dot id. So this is how it is done. This is how we can manipulate the voice. So the male voice will be now changed to a female voice. So now let's take the input from the user. So we are done with all the customization thing that we wanted. So the last thing that remains is taking the input from the user and then achieving our task, that is converting the text to speech. So what we will do to repeatedly take the input from the user, we will have a while loop. Okay, and in this while loop, what we will do is we will have a variable content, and in this what we will do is input, enter something that you want to convert. So this is the good message that are we writing, that enter something that you want to convert from text to speech. And last thing that we need to do is we have this engine dot say method, and in this we will pass this content, and last thing is we will execute it. So how it is done is engine dot, and we have run and wait for it. Okay, so we are done. We are ready with our code. So let's revise what we have done quickly. First, we imported the model into our system or in the project. Then we initialized our engine or the driver that we are going to use. Then we customized the speech properties that we wanted. First was the rate, then we customized the volume, then we customized the voice that we wanted, and last thing is we are accepting the input from the user and we will convert it into speech. So now let's run it. So I hope it should run fine. Yeah, and it is asking us enter something that you want to convert. So let us enter something that, hi, this is Python again, and let's hit enter.
Hi, this is Python.
And this time we saw that it was a female voice, right? It is asking us again because it is into a while loop. So what we will do is hello, how are you? Hello, how are you?
Hello, how are you?
Okay, so this is how it is done. So let's kill the terminal and stop the program for now. So this was how we can convert text into speech, and this is how we can manipulate with this library. So if you want to dive deep into this, you can surely go back to the documentation and do and manipulate more things. So this was just the introductory part. I hope you guys liked it. If you liked it, do not forget to hit that like button. If you have any queries or if you have any doubts, write that below in the comment section, and do not forget to subscribe for more such videos.